Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. In this video I'll show you how I used Cubase to create a drum set from the cracking, snapping, and popping of my deteriorated hip bone and socket, and then used it in my latest music release, Snap. I'll provide the streaming service links of the completed work and the official music video in the description below and at the end of this video. As always, I welcome your comments and suggestions, and if you like what you see today, please help my channel by giving it a thumbs up. New subscribers are always welcome. So, let's get to it. Okay, so in 2021, I needed my hip replaced because there was no cartilage left and the socket was pretty much gone. Whenever I walked, the whole thing made these terrible crunching sounds, as you're about to hear. So about a week before my surgery, I got out a decent mic, got it as close to my hip area as possible, pressed record, and twisted and bent my leg around to get this raw audio. Let's have a listen. Okay, you get the idea. I'm just going to back up a bit. I found a particular sample that I thought would be a good example of how I created a kick drum. I'll expand our view, make a couple of snips to get a good chunk, and then pull it down into the sampler control. There we go. Okay, I'm in the sampler now. I have to expand the view again so I can see what I'm working with. Click on one-shot mode, and then normalize the volume. Next, I'll play a few notes on my keyboard and see what I've got. That's a little high. Ah, that's much better. I'll increase the amp volume a bit. Oh, that'll work. Let's go into the EQ next. See what we can come up with. I'll start with the first band and try to fatten things up a bit. Next, I'll add a steep low-cut slope. And now sweep around a bit. I want to tweak that low cut a bit. I'm going to cut some of this mud out. We're going to work on the high end a bit here, see if we can get it a bit crispier. There we go. Okay, I'm going to add the vintage compressor that comes with Cubase. I'm going to choose the Rock Master preset because it's good and punchy, and adjust the amount of compression going in. Next, I'll play something into the sampler track and we'll see what we have. I forgot to set the quantize preset to 16th, so Cubase isn't going to catch my 16th notes. This is fine for our purposes. Have a listen. There isn't time to show you how I got to every sound, but basically I selected samples with the most potential and treated each of them pretty much the same way. I rendered and bounced some tracks to audio, but others like Tom's I left in the sampler tracks. Then there were just interesting samples that sounded pretty cool. I had to use them. Okay, so this is what I used for snare. You can see I've rendered this one to audio already. I'm going to zoom it in a little bit so you can see what it actually looks like, and then we'll have a listen. Next, I'll add a little bit of reverb. The next sample is my favorite. I've labeled it Woof because it kind of sounds like a dog barking, but I suspect it's the sound of my hip bone rubbing against the bone of my socket. The next two tracks use the same sample, so I left them in the sampler tracks rather than render them. Here's how the samples sounded at different pitches. They make nice sounding toms, don't you think? And then in this second sample track, I combined 2 layers of toms. The next track has 2 samples in it. I'll audition just the first one for you. You'll notice it's panned to the left. Not sure why I called it a low tom. I guess I was in a hurry, and I had to call it something. So let's go over here now and isolate what I called the TIMEX sample. I don't know why I labeled it TIMEX, because it doesn't really sound like one. Okay, I'll unmute the first sample and we'll hear both samples now together. This is my second favorite sample, actually. These are the hi-hats. Let me just enable the EQ. Here's another track I didn't know quite what to call at the time. I called them Mystery 16ths, but the funny thing is they're not even 16ths, they're 8th notes. But anyway, they were interesting, so I threw them into the mix. The next track I labeled Clock. Again, probably because I was in a rush. Doesn't sound much like a clock. In retrospect, it sounds like castanets. Last but not least, we have the track called TIMEX Panned. In fact, all the tracks are panned, but there you go. Okay, we've heard all the samples now, so let's put them into context by playing them together. I chose this small section where you can hear all the samples at some point. I'd love to hear from you in the comments section if you have suggestions or just want to show me some love. Bye for now.